The hammer came down hard on rusted plating, and sparks flew across the scrapyard like dying stars. Nobody paid attention to the woman swinging it. Nobody ever did. Her name was Claire Sutton, and she'd been dismantling starships since she was 16. 20 years later, her hands knew metal better than most engineers knew theory. The scrapyard stretched for miles around her, a graveyard of vessels that once touched the void. Most were beyond saving. But Claire didn't care about most. She cared about the one they called useless. The Dragon Lady sat at the far edge of the yard, half buried in sand and neglect. Colonial fleet had dumped her here 3 months ago after declaring her obsolete. Structural fatigue, the report said, reactor instability, navigation systems corrupted beyond repair. Claire had read that report while stealing the ship's manifest. She'd smiled at every lie. The Dragon Lady wasn't obsolete. She was abandoned. There was a difference, and Claire knew it in her bones. The ship had been a frontline destroyer during the Crush War, back when humanity was still learning that the galaxy didn't care about fairness. She'd taken hits that would have vaporized newer vessels. She'd limped home on half a reactor. She'd earned scars, and now she was scrap metal. Claire climbed through the Dragon Lady's broken airlock, her boots clanging on deck plating that groaned but held. The interior smelled like burnt wiring and old fear. Emergency lighting flickered in the corridors, powered by some stubborn backup cell that refused to die. She made her way to engineering, dodging collapsed bulkheads and torn conduits. The reactor chamber was a mess of blackened components and shattered coolant lines. Anyone else would have seen a disaster. Claire saw a puzzle. Her scanner hummed as she swept it across the core. The readouts made her grin. Reactor instability, her ass. Someone had sabotaged the coolant regulators. Crude work, too. Probably some fleet contractor looking to justify a new ship purchase. Footsteps echoed behind her. Heavy boots. Military. This area's restricted, ma'am. The voice belonged to a young guard, maybe 20, with a rifle slung across his chest. Claire didn't turn around. Scrapyard's public salvage, I checked. Not this one. Dragon Lady's scheduled for compressed recycling tomorrow. Fleet orders. Fleet orders! Claire kept scanning. Funny how the fleet's so eager to destroy a ship they claim is worthless. The guard shifted his weight. I'm gonna need you to leave. Claire finally looked at him. She saw the uncertainty in his eyes, the way his hand didn't quite reach for his weapon. He was following orders he didn't understand. Tell your superiors Claire Sutton was here. Tell them I'm buying this ship. It's not for sale. Everything's for sale. They just don't know the price yet. She walked past him, close enough to see him tense. He didn't stop her. They never did when you moved like you belonged. Outside, the twin suns were setting over the scrapyard. Claire pulled out her calm and dialed a number she hadn't used in years. The voice that answered was rough as gravel. This better be good, Sutton. Marcus, I need a favor. You need a lot more than that if you're calling me. I need the Dragon Lady, and I need her by morning. Silence stretched across the line. Then Marcus laughed low and dangerous. You finally lost it. Probably. You win or not? Another pause. What are you offering? Claire looked back at the Dragon Lady silhouetted against the dying light, a chance to make the fleet regret everything. Now that, Marcus said, I can work with. They _sold _the _dragon _lady _as _useless _a _mechanic _rebuilt _a. TXT Marcus arrived 2 hours before dawn with a cargo hauler and 6 people who looked like they'd murder for the right price. Claire recognized 3 of them from her Navy days. The others had that mercenary edge, all scars and silent evaluation. You weren't kidding about the timeline, Marcus said, stepping down from the hauler. He was older now, gray threading through his beard, but his eyes still had that predatory sharpness. Fleet's gonna notice when their scrap goes missing. Fleet's gonna notice when I fire up her engines in orbit, Claire said, but by then it won't matter. You're talking about theft of military property. I'm talking about salvage rights. Dragon Lady was declared decommissioned and sold to the yard. I bought her from the yard. All legal. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You bought her? With what money? Claire tapped her datapad. The transaction record glowed in the pre-dawn darkness. Turns out the yard owner has a gambling problem and a nephew who needed some legal trouble to disappear. We came to an understanding. You're terrifying, you know that? I'm efficient. Now, help me move her before the morning shift shows up. The next 4 hours were controlled chaos. They bypassed the Dragon Lady's landing struts, locked down every loose component, and attached the hauler's graviton clamps. The ship groaned as they lifted her, metal screaming against metal. Claire held her breath, waiting for something critical to fail. Nothing did. They transported the Dragon Lady to Claire's private dock on the edge of the settlement. It wasn't much, just a reinforced hangar she'd built from salvaged materials over the years, but it had power and tools and privacy, everything she needed. By the time the suns rose, the Dragon Lady was hidden behind blast doors half a foot thick. Marcus dismissed his crew and stayed behind, arms crossed as he watched Claire run her hands along the ship's hull. All right, I got you your ship. Now tell me why you're really doing this. Claire was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled up a news feed on her daypad and handed it to him. The headline read, Kresh incursions increase along outer colonies. Fleet response deemed inadequate. Marcus's expression darkened as he scrolled through the reports. 3 colonies had gone silent in the past month. 2 more were reporting unidentified vessels in their sectors. The fleet's official response was to consolidate defenses around core worlds. They're abandoning the Outer Rim, Marcus said quietly. They're abandoning people, Claire corrected. 1 million civilians who don't have the resources to evacuate, and the fleet's pulling back because their fancy new ships are too expensive to risk. So you're gonna what? Ride to the rescue in a decommend destroyer? 1 ship against whatever the Kresh are throwing out there? 1 ship that nobody expects? 1 ship that's off the books? 1 ship that can hit hard and disappear before they know what happened? Claire's voice hardened. The Dragon Lady was built to fight, not to sit pretty in formation. She's a brawler, Marcus, and right now that's what we need. Marcus studied her face. You said we. I need a crew. People who know what they're doing. People who aren't afraid to make the fleet look stupid. You're asking me to commit treason? I'm asking you to do what the fleet won't. Protect people who matter. He laughed, sharp and bitter. You know how many regulations we'd be violating. How many laws? All of them, probably. And when the fleet catches us, then we make sure we've saved enough lives that they can't bury the story. Claire met his eyes. I'm doing this with or without you, but I'd rather have someone watching my back who knows the difference between honor and obedience. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he pulled out his comm and started typing. What are you doing? Claire asked. Calling in favors. If we're stealing a warship and starting a private war, we're gonna need more than good intentions. He paused. I know a pilot who got dishonorably discharged for refusing to abandon a civilian transport, and a weapons specialist who punched her commanding officer for suggesting they let a colony burn. Claire felt something loosen in her chest. Hope, maybe. Or just relief that she wasn't as alone as she'd thought. How long to get them here? 48 hours. Maybe less if I tell them what we're doing. Tell them the truth. Tell them we're going to war with a ship held together by spite and questionable decisions. Marcus grinned, and for a moment he looked like the Marine she'd served with a decade ago. That's humanity's specialty, isn't it? Claire turned back to the Dragon Lady, already mentally cataloging the repairs she needed to start. Reactor first, then weapons systems, then navigation. She had 2 days to make this ship fly, and a lifetime of reasons to make it work. Behind her, Marcus was already on the comm, his voice low and urgent as he spoke to people across 3 systems. The Dragon Lady sat in the shadows of the hangar, waiting. And Claire got to work. They _sold, _the _dragon _lady _as _useless until _a _mechanic _rebuilt _a starship.txt. The reactor core was worse than Claire. Coolant lines weren't just sabotaged, they were corroded through. Someone had pumped contaminated fluid through the system for months, maybe years, slowly degrading every seal and gasket. Deliberate, methodical, expensive. They really wanted her dead, she muttered, pulling out another ruined component. Talking to yourself again? The voice came from behind her, light and precise. Claire turned to see a woman in a flight jacket leaning against the reactor room doorway. She was compact, dark-skinned, with close-cropped hair and eyes that tracked everything. A pilot's eyes. You must be Kate Morrison, Claire said. And you must be the lunatic who bought a dead warship. Kate pushed off the door frame and walked around the reactor chamber. Professional assessment in every glance. Marcus said you needed a pilot. He didn't mention you needed a miracle worker. Can you fly her? Depends. Can you make her flyable? Claire gestured at the scattered components around her. Working on it. Kate crouched beside the main power coupling, her fingers tracing the connections with practiced familiarity. I flew destroyers for 8 years, before the fleet decided civilian lives weren't worth the fuel costs. This class is old, but she's solid, overbuilt. They made her to take punishment. She looked up. Question is, can you undo whatever they did to her in time? I have 40 hours. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. Kate stood, brushing dust from her hands. Then I guess we'd better get started. Where do you need me? They worked through the night, Claire in the reactor room, while Kate traced the Dragon Lady's neural network through kilometers of wiring. The ship's computer core had been deliberately fragmented, its data scattered across backup systems like someone had taken a hammer to organized files. Around midnight, the hangar doors opened again. This time, 2 people entered, a man and a woman moving with that particular economy of motion that marked military training. Claire Sutton? The woman called out. She was tall, muscular, with burn scars running down her left arm. I'm Alex Carter, weapons specialist. This is Jordan Price, tactical. Jordan was lean and quiet, with the kind of face that disappeared in crowds. He nodded once, already scanning the hangar's interior with tactical precision. Marcus appeared from the cargo section, tool in hand. They're good. Trust me. I'm trusting you with my life, Claire said. Their credentials better be solid. Alex grinned, sharp and dangerous. I spent 6 years maintaining the fleet's latest generation plasma arrays. Then I spent 6 months watching commanders refuse to deploy them because they were too expensive to replace. When our battle group encountered Kresh raiders and the captain ordered us to let a colony ship run, I told him exactly where he could file his priorities. She rolled her shoulder. Discharge was mutual. And you? Claire looked at Jordan. I find things people want hidden, Jordan said quietly, and I hide things people want found. The fleet decided that skill set was too useful to waste on protecting civilians. His expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. I disagreed, loudly. Good. Claire wiped grease from her hands. Because we're going to need both. Alex, the Dragon Lady's weapon systems are a mess. Half the targeting arrays are missing, and the plasma capacitors are drained. I need them functional in 36 hours. 36? Alex whistled. You don't ask for much. I'm asking for everything. That's the point. Alex's grin widened. Finally, someone who gets it. Show me the weapons bay. Jordan moved to the tactical station without being asked, his fingers already dancing across dormant controls. Navigation data's corrupted. Someone wiped the astrogation charts and inserted false coordinates. If you tried to jump, you would have dropped into a star. Claire felt ice in her stomach. Can you fix it? I can rebuild it from scratch using public nav beacons. Won't be perfect, but it'll get us where we need to go. He paused. Where do we need to go? Claire pulled up the sector map. Red markers indicated the silent colonies. Amber showed increased creche activity. The pattern was obvious once you looked at it. A slow encirclement of the outer rim territories. Here, she said, pointing to a colony called Vale's Landing. Latest reports show creche scouts in the system. 3,000 people planet-side with no defense grid and no evacuation capability. Fleet response time is estimated at 9 days. We can make it in 4, Kate said from the doorway. She'd been listening. If the ship holds together, she'll hold, Claire said with more confidence than she felt. And when we get there? Marcus asked. 3,000 civilians, unknown number of creche raiders, and us in a ship that's barely functional. What's the play? We evacuate who we can. We fight off who we must, and we make enough noise that the fleet can't ignore what's happening. Claire looked at each of them. I won't lie to you. This is dangerous. Probably stupid. Definitely illegal. If you want out, now's the time. Nobody moved. Alex spoke first. I didn't join the fleet to watch people die because some admiral was worried about his budget. I'm in. Same, Kate said. Jordan just nodded. Marcus crossed his arms. You already knew my answer. Let's save some lives and make the fleet regret their decisions. Claire felt something fierce and bright burning in her chest. Purpose, direction, the thing she'd been missing since she left the service. All right then, we have 34 hours to make this ship combat ready. No sleep, no breaks, and no doubts. She looked at the dragon lady, still dark and dormant, but somehow listening. We're bringing you back, old girl, and we're going to remind the galaxy what happens when you corner humanity. The crew scattered to their stations, and in the heart of the ship, hidden in shadow and neglect, the reactor core began to hum. They _sold, _the _dragon, _lady as _useless until _a _mechanic rebuilt _a starship.tx 20 hours before launch, the reactor went critical. Not explosive critical. Startup critical, the kind that made the deck plates vibrate and the emergency lighting flicker into full brightness. Claire stood in the reactor room, hands still on the control panel, hardly daring to breathe. Power output stabilizing. Jordan's voice crackled through the comm. We have main power to all primary systems. Claire allowed herself a smile. Kate, try the helm. A moment later, Kate's whoop echoed through the ship, maneuvering thrusters responding. Guidance systems coming online. She's waking up, Claire. She's actually waking up. But there was no time to celebrate. Alex's voice cut through the excitement. We've got company. 2 fleet security vehicles approaching the hangar. Armed personnel. Marcus was already moving. How long until we can launch? Claire checked her readouts. Engines need another 6 hours minimum to pressurize. Weapons systems aren't calibrated. We're not ready. Then we buy time. Marcus grabbed a rifle from the equipment locker. Jordan locked down the hangar doors. Alex, get the point defense turrets operational, even if they can't aim straight. Kate, be ready to move this ship the second Claire gives the word. Claire ran to the cargo bay where security monitors showed the fleet vehicles stopping outside. 8 soldiers dismounted, weapons ready. An officer stepped forward, her uniform crisp despite the early hour. This is Commander Lynn Hudson, Colonial Fleet Security. We have a warrant for the immediate seizure of this vessel and the arrest of Claire Sutton on charges of theft of military property. Marcus positioned himself near the personnel airlock, weapon ready but not aimed. How'd they find us so fast? Someone talked, Jordan said from tactical. Or someone noticed the power signature when we lit the reactor. Doesn't matter. They're here. Claire activated the external speakers. Commander Hudson, the Dragon Lady was legally purchased from certified salvage. I have documentation. Your documentation is fraudulent, Hudson replied. The sale was never authorized by Fleet Command. Surrender now, and we can resolve this peacefully. Peacefully, Alex muttered, checking her rifle. Right after they throw us in prison and scrap the ship anyway. Claire's mind raced. They needed 6 hours. They had maybe 6 minutes before Hudson ordered her people to breach the hangar. Then she saw it. A solution so reckless it actually might work. Kate, can you fly on thrusters only? In atmosphere? Barely. We'd be sluggish and burning fuel like crazy. Pause. Why do I not like where this is going? Because you're smart. Claire pulled up the hangar schematics. The roof panels are retractable. They haven't been used in years, but the motors still have power. You want to launch before the engines are ready, Marcus said. We'll drop like a stone. We'll drop until the engines catch, which they will, Claire hoped. And once we're airborne, Hudson can't stop us without shooting us down, which she won't do over a populated settlement. You're betting our lives on fleet restraint? Alex asked. I'm betting on fleet bureaucracy. Shooting down a stolen ship requires authorization from at least 3 levels of command. By the time Hudson gets approval, we'll be gone. Jordan was already typing. Opening roof panels now. They're slow but functional. Outside, Hudson noticed the movement. All units, prepare to breach. They're attempting to flee. Marcus, seal the airlock and get to the bridge, Claire ordered. Everyone else, strap in. This is going to be rough. She sprinted to engineering, sliding into the reactor control station. The engines were warm but not hot, their power curves shallow and uncertain. She started feeding them fuel anyway, pushing them harder than she should, coaxing life into systems that weren't ready. The hangar doors blasted inward. Flash grenades filled the cargo bay with light and noise. Fleet soldiers poured through, weapons raised. Kate, now! Claire shouted. The Dragon Lady's thrusters fired with a scream of tortured metal. The ship lurched upward, crushing cargo containers beneath her weight as she lifted. Soldiers scattered, diving for cover as the destroyer rose on columns of superheated plasma. Claire watched her readout spike into the red. Thruster output at 120%. Structural stress mounting. Engines still not ready. They cleared the hangar roof with meters to spare. The Dragon Lady climbed into the dawn sky, shaking like she was tearing herself apart. Engine 1 is fighting me, Kate called out. Engine 2 isn't responding. We're losing altitude. Claire rerouted power from life support, from sensors, from everything that wasn't essential. She dumped it all into the engines and prayed to whatever gods protected fools and mechanics. The engines coughed, sputtered, then caught with a roar that shook the hull. Engine 2 online, Kate said, disbelief in her voice. Engine 1 cycling up. We have thrust. We have actual thrust. The Dragon Lady's nose pitched up. She accelerated hard, leaving the settlement behind in a blast of sound and fury. Fleet fighters launching from the garrison, Jordan reported. 4 interceptors inbound. They're ordering us to land immediately or be fired upon. Can we outrun them? Marcus asked. Not even close, Kate said. We're running on hope and spite. They've got military-grade engines. Claire checked weapon status. Alex had gotten the point defense turrets online, but the main plasma arrays were still cold. They had no shields, no armor worth mentioning, and 4 fleet fighters closing fast. Alex, can those turrets track fighters? They can try. Accuracy's going to be terrible. Doesn't need to be accurate, just threatening enough to make them think twice. The first fighter streaked past, close enough that its wake turbulence rocked the Dragon Lady. A warning shot lanced across their bow, bright and unmistakable. "They're serious," Marcus said. "So are we." Claire switched to open channel. "Fleet fighters, this is the Dragon Lady. We are on an emergency humanitarian mission to Vale's Landing. People are dying out there while you're playing traffic cop. You want to shoot us down? Fine, but those deaths are on you." Silence. Then a new voice, older and harder. "Dragon Lady, this is Garrison Commander Peterson. You are in violation of 12 fleet regulations and operating a stolen military vessel. I have authorization to disable your ship." "Then do it," Claire said. "Shoot down the only people trying to help the outer colonies. I'm sure that'll look great in the official report." Another pause. Longer this time. "You're forcing my hand." Sutton. "No, sir." "God." "I'm forcing you to choose. Follow orders that let people die, or let us pass and maybe save some lives. That's the choice. Make it." The fighters maintained formation, weapons locked. Claire could see the missile indicators on her screen, ready to fire. Then, slowly, the fighters peeled away. "You have 12 hours," Peterson said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "After that, I'm listing you as hostile, and every fleet ship in 3 sectors will be hunting you. Use them wisely." The channel closed. Claire slumped in her chair, adrenaline shaking through her. "Kate, plot a jump to Vale's Landing. Fastest route. Already done. Jump in 90 seconds. Everyone okay?" Scattered confirmations came through the comm. "Bruised, shaken, but alive." "Well," Marcus said, "we're officially outlaws now." "We were always outlaws," Alex replied. "Now we're just honest about it." The jump drive spun up, reality folding around them, and the Dragon Lady, broken and rebuilt and impossibly flying, leapt into the dark between stars. They _sold _ the _ dragon _ lady _ useless _ until _ a _ mechanic _ rebuilt _ a _ starship.txt. Vale's Landing appeared on their sensors 4 days later, a brown and green world tucked between 2 gas giants, beautiful, isolated, defenseless, and surrounded by 6 Kresh warships. "Contact," Jordan announced, his voice flat. 6 vessels in orbital formation. Configuration matches Kresh Raider class. They're running active scans of the surface. Claire stared at the tactical display. 6 ships. The intelligence reports had mentioned scouts. Maybe 2 vessels at most. This wasn't reconnaissance. This was invasion prep. "Life signs planetside?" she asked. "Scanning now." Jordan's fingers moved across his console, picking up settlement clusters. Main colony still active. Population reads approximately 2,800. "They're still alive. For now," Kate said grimly. "Those raiders are positioning for orbital bombardment. I give the colony 6 hours before the Kresh start glassing population centers." Alex leaned over the weapons console, her expression dark. "We have 1 functional plasma ray, maybe 60% power. Point defense is operational but untested in combat. Missiles are armed, but we only have 12 tubes and no reloads." She looked up. "Against 6 raiders, we'll last maybe 3 minutes. Then we make those 3 minutes count," Claire said. Marcus shook his head. "Suicide isn't heroism. We need a plan that doesn't end with us scattered across space." "He's right," Jordan said. "Direct engagement is tactically impossible. But the Kresh formation has weaknesses. They're oriented toward the planet, not watching their backs. And their sensor profile suggests older models, probably surplus raiders from their secondary fleets." "Meaning?" Claire asked. "Meaning they're arrogant. They think nothing out here can threaten them. Jordan pulled up the orbital mechanics. If we come in fast from behind the outer gas giant, we could get close before they detect us. Hit one ship hard, create chaos, give the colony time to evacuate. Evacuate to where? Kate asked. We don't have transport capacity for 3,000 people. No, but they do. Claire pointed at the tactical display, at 3 large vessels on the surface. Colony transports, older generation, but functional. They could carry everyone if we buy them time to launch. And then what? Marcus pressed. We bloody the Kresh's nose and die heroically while the transports run? The raiders will just hunt them down. Claire was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then she smiled, sharp and dangerous. Not if we lead the Kresh away. Jordan, how long would it take to program a jump sequence? Depends on the complexity. 1 jump, maximum range, straight into Kresh-controlled space. Everyone stared at her. You want to jump into enemy territory? Alex said slowly. On purpose. I want the Kresh to think we're jumping into enemy territory, Claire corrected. We plot a course that looks like we're running deep into their space. They'll chase us because they can't afford to let a human warship operate behind their lines. While they're chasing us, we emergency jump to a different vector, circle back, and escort the colony transports to safety. That's insane, Kate said, but she was already running calculations. It could work, though. Barely. We'd need perfect timing on both jumps, and we'd need to survive long enough to make them. We've survived this long on a ship held together by optimism and improvisation, Claire said. What's a little more? Jordan plotted the course. Jump 1 takes us toward the Kresh border. They'll definitely chase. Jump 2 brings us back to intercept the transports, but we're talking about precision to within seconds. One mistake and we're either torn apart by jump stress or we drop into real space right in front of 6 very angry raiders. Can you do it? Claire asked. Jordan met her eyes. Yes, then that's our play. Claire activated the ship-wide comm. All hands, battle stations. We're going in. The Dragon Lady curved around the gas giant's radiation shadow, engines running cold to minimize their sensor profile. The planet's magnetic field played havoc with their instruments, but it also masked them from Kresh detection. Range to nearest raider, 800 kilometers and closing, Jordan reported. Alex armed the plasma array, targeting the lead ship. If we're only getting 1 good shot, I'm making it count. Wait for my mark, Claire said. We need them off balance. They close to 500 kilometers. 400. The Kresh ships hung in formation, oblivious. Claire could see the colony below. Tiny lights scattered across the dark side of the planet. 2,800 people who had no idea salvation or damnation was hurtling toward them at 0.8 light speed, 300 kilometers. Now, Claire said. Alex fired. The plasma array discharged with a sound like reality tearing. A lance of superheated particles crossed the void at near relativistic speed and struck the lead Kresh raider amidships. The alien vessel's shields flared, overloaded, and collapsed. Atmosphere vented from a dozen hull breaches. The ship began a slow tumble, engines failing. Direct hit, Alex breathed. 1 raider damaged, possibly disabled. The other. 5 ships reacted instantly. They broke formation, engines flaring as they turned toward the Dragon Lady. Threat assessment protocols flooding their systems, targeting arrays locking on. They see us, Jordan said calmly. All ships changing heading. Weapons charging. Kate, evasive pattern Delta. Claire ordered. Keep us moving. Alex, fire at will. The Dragon Lady twisted her damaged hull, screaming in protest. Point defense turrets tracked incoming fire, shooting down missiles that bloomed like deadly flowers against the black. The plasma array fired again, scoring a glancing hit on a second raider. But 5 ships against 1 was mathematics, not valor. Plasma bolts hammered their shields. Warning alarms shrieked as systems overloaded. "Shields at 40%, Marcus called out. "We can't take much more of this." "We don't need to." Claire checked the countdown. "Jordan, jump status?" "Plotted and ready." "Jump in 30 seconds." A Kresh missile penetrated their point defense. It detonated against the port side, buckling armor and sending the Dragon Lady into a spin. Kate fought the controls, thrusters firing in complex patterns to stabilize. "Hull, breach on deck 3, Marcus reported. "Sealing bulkheads." "We're venting atmosphere." 20 seconds, Jordan said. Another hit, then another. The bridge lights flickered. Claire's console sparked, showering her with debris. She ignored it, watching the countdown. 10 seconds! The Kresh Raiders closed in, sensing the kill. Their weapons glowed with building energy. 5 seconds. "Claire, we need to jump now," Kate said urgently. "Hold," Claire said. 2 seconds. The Kresh fired everything they had. A wall of plasma and missiles screamed toward the Dragon Lady. "Jump!" Claire shouted. Reality twisted. The universe folded, and the Dragon Lady vanished, leaving nothing but cooling debris and confused alien ships behind. They emerged from jump space 3 light years away, deep in Kresh territory. Proximity alarms screamed. The raiders appeared seconds later, their jump drive cycling down as they oriented on their prey. "They followed," Alex said. "All 5 ships." "Good." Claire checked her readouts. The Dragon Lady was hurt but still flying, still fighting. "How long until we can jump again?" "Drives need 90 seconds to recycle," Jordan said. The Kresh opened fire. They _sold the _dragon _lady _as useless until a mechanic rebuilt a starship.txt. 90 seconds felt like eternity under Kresh fire. The Dragon Lady twisted and burned. Every system pushed beyond design limits. Kate flew like a woman possessed, threading impossible vectors between plasma bolts that could vaporize them. Alex returned fire with everything they had, the plasma array burning white-hot as it cycled faster than recommended. 60 seconds, Jordan called out. A missile clipped their starboard engine. The explosion threw Claire against her restraints. Alarms cascaded across every console. The ship listed hard, compensators failing. "Engine 2 offline," Kate said through gritted teeth, maneuvering on thrusters only. 40 seconds. The Kresh ships tightened their formation, sensing weakness. They were methodical now, professional. No more wild firing. They were setting up for a kill shot. "Shields failing," Marcus reported. "Another hit, and we're done." Claire's hands moved across her console, rerouting power, bleeding emergency reserves, stealing from life support and gravity, and anything that wasn't essential. She fed it all to the jump drive. 20 seconds. Alex's plasma array went silent, overheated, useless. The point defense turrets were burning out one by one, their barrels warped from constant fire. 10 seconds. The Kresh fired simultaneously. 5 ships. Coordinated strike. No escape. "Jump," Jordan said. Reality folded again. They emerged in chaos. The Dragon Lady dropped into normal space, listing 40 degrees, engines screaming, hull breached in a dozen places. But they were back. Vale's landing hung before them, and below, 3 colony transports were burning hard for orbit, and the Kresh Raiders were gone. Still 3 light years away, searching empty space. "Transports are away," Jordan confirmed. All 3 vessels loaded and climbing. Total evacuees, 2,782. Claire let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. "Escort them. Stay between the transports and any threat." "We can barely fly," Kate said, but she was already adjusting course. "Then we barely fly in the right direction." They limped alongside the colony ships. The Dragon Lady's damaged hull, a shield between civilians and the void. Minutes passed, then an hour. The transports cleared the gravity well and began charging their own jump drives. Crush Raiders just jumped back to Vale's Landing, Jordan reported. They're scanning for us. They'll find the transport's ion trail in minutes. How long until the transports can jump? Claire asked. 3 minutes. We don't have 3 minutes. Marcus looked at her. What are you thinking? Claire studied her console. One engine, minimal shields, no weapons, but they still had one advantage. The Crush thought they were running scared. We make them think we're still here. Kate, position us between the raiders and the transports. Full power to whatever sensors we have left. Make us bright and obvious. That'll paint a target, Alex said. That's the idea. The Dragon Lady turned, placing herself in the Crush's path. Claire activated every active sensor, every communication array, every system that could broadcast their position. They lit up like a star. The Crush noticed immediately. All 5 raiders changed heading, burning toward them. Transports jumping in 90 seconds, Jordan said. The Crush closed fast. Weapons charging. No more caution, just rage. 60 seconds. Claire watched them come. Behind her, the transports continued their countdown. 2,700 lives hanging in the balance. 30 seconds. The raiders entered weapons range. Targeting locks painted the Dragon Lady from every angle. Transports jumping now, Jordan said. Reality rippled. The 3 colony ships vanished, carrying their human cargo to safety. The Crush fired. Emergency jump, Claire ordered. Anywhere. Now. Jordan's fingers flew. The jump drive, damaged and overworked, cycled one last time. They jumped blind. The Dragon Lady emerged in open space. Systems failing across the board. No contacts, no threats, just silence and stars. Damage report, Claire said quietly. Marcus read from his console. Jump drive is burned out. Engine 1 is offline. Life support is on emergency reserves. Hull breaches on 5 decks. We're venting atmosphere faster than we can recycle it. But we're alive, Kate said somehow. And the colony? Claire asked. Jordan checked his long-range scanners. Transports transmitted safe arrival at the way station. All civilians accounted for. They made it. Claire closed her eyes. 2,700 people, families, children. Lives that would continue because 5 people and a broken ship refused to let them die. Incoming transmission, Jordan said. Fleet frequency. Commander Peterson's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired. Dragon Lady, we tracked the colony transports. Saw what you did. Pause. Fleet Command is still issuing your arrest warrant, but there are people alive because of you. That counts for something. Not enough to make you look the other way? Marcus asked. No, but enough that I'm transmitting your position on a 20-minute delay instead of real time. Use it wisely. The transmission ended. He's giving us a head start, Alex said. He's giving us a chance, Claire corrected. She looked at her crew, battered, exhausted but unbroken. The Dragon Lady's done. We can't jump, can barely fly, but there are escape pods, enough for all of us. And then what? Kate asked. Run? Hide? Wait for the fleet to find us anyway? Claire smiled. Or we signal for recovery, get picked up, and when they ask us why we did it, we tell them the truth. The fleet abandoned people who needed help. So we didn't. They'll court-martial us, Marcus said. Probably throw us in prison, maybe, and we're okay with that? Claire looked out at the stars, at the vast darkness that held both danger and wonder. We saved 2,700 lives. How many people can say that? How many fleet officers can say they made a difference when it mattered? She activated the distress beacon. Quote, This is the Dragon Lady. We are adrift and requesting assistance. All crew alive. Mission accomplished. Hours later, a fleet recovery ship arrived. They came aboard to find 5 people sitting in a broken bridge, sharing ration packs and telling stories. They didn't resist arrest, didn't argue, just smiled like they knew something the fleet didn't. And maybe they did, because 3 months later, when the court-martial proceedings were broadcast across human space, something changed. Civilians on 100 worlds saw 5 people who'd stolen a dead ship and saved lives the fleet had written off. They saw courage without permission, heroism without authorization. They saw what humanity could be when it stopped asking for approval. The charges were quietly reduced, sentences suspended, and when Claire walked free, she found a message waiting. Anonymous, untraceable. It contained coordinates to a scrapyard and a list of 12 decommissioned ships. Interesting, she said to Marcus, who'd received the same message. Very interesting, he agreed. Somewhere in deep space, the Dragon Lady drifted in salvage orbit, too damaged to repair, too legendary to scrap. A monument to the day, 5 people reminded the galaxy that humanity didn't need permission to do what was right. They just